Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to Tufts B Team versus UNC Chapel Hill University. As we load into picks and bans, we can see Tufts B starting with a Belveth ban, which definitely seems like something that would be a pretty niche counter pick, something maybe a pocket pick for the UNC jungler. On the other side, we do see a Gwen ban hover, which I believe will happen. So maybe setting up for some kind of top lane tank. Silas also getting banned out. Silas is extraordinarily strong, so I'm not particularly surprised by that. And it's just also a champion that can do a lot of playmaking and really impact the game. Um, Pretty much no matter how good he is. And then okay, Kog'Maw ban from the side of UNC. Tufts banning very fast. And so we also see the Syndra ban coming out. I mean, the spell penetration, magic penetration items were pretty strong, so it's not too surprising to see these mid lane mages. Swain, after the rework, getting banned. Um, his win rate did go down quite a bit after the rework, but it seems to have recovered somewhat now. And I guess it's also definitely a pocket pick, so it's something that UNC is a bit scared of. We do see the Ashe coming out, locked in from the side of Tufts. Ashe is someone that can really press their advantage in the early game, especially with those slows on the auto attacks. And then once later into the game, there's always value in the Ashe ulti. Raven is someone who can definitely contest that, but it doesn't look like it's going to be locked in, getting faded by the hovers a little bit. Jhin would make sense, always going to be useful, has quite a bit of utility with a root and slows on the ulti and the execute. So um, I would expect to see some kind of engage support locked in alongside that to set up the Jhin roots. Uh, but we will see what UNC ends up picking for their support. And it is actually going to be the Braum. It's a little bit of anti-synergy between Jhin and Braum, so I'm not entirely sure what the logic behind that is, because Jhin can't really proc the Braum passive, so struggles to get that stun going. The stun is definitely helpful, but it's very hard for Jhin to proc compared to another ADC. And then on Tufts' side, we do see Tahm Kench and Sion. I assume that Tahm Kench is going to go support. This is going to give that Ashe a little bit more survivability, especially against something like a Hecarim locked in for UNC. And then Sion is just going to be that big beefy front line in the top lane. Um, Vi as well. Vi is definitely dubious. Okay, Lilia makes a lot more sense. Vi would get pretty hard countered by Tahm Kench because Tahm Kench can just eat whatever target Vi ults. So I definitely like the Lily a lot more, although I don't also necessarily think it's ideal here given the lockdown that Tufts has available, especially if they pick a jungler that has some kind of point and click or very reliable CC. Um, Interestingly enough, we do see an Aatrox ban. I'm not sure if that's UNC thinking that the Scion is going somewhere other than top, or if it's an Aatrox mid ban or something along those lines. Um, I'd be interested to see what they end up picking, and where everything ends up going. Akshan ban is also very interesting. Akshan definitely has that utility with revive, and so can provide that constant value. So definitely something that makes a lot of sense. Kassadin ban also implies that Tufts is going to set up some kind of mid pick here. Um, we'll see what they end up going for in the end. Hui locked in from UNC. I think that's a relatively safe mid pick, right? Definitely does put UNC pretty heavy on the AP. And ideally they would want someone who can uh really deal some relevant AD damage, or else that Scion becomes pretty unkillable in the later stages of the game with a Force of Nature or a Canic Ruckard. since Jin isn't really going to be able to shred those tanks. And yeah, the Galio also, I think Tufts also sees what I'm seeing with the heavy AP focus from UNC. It does make Tufts a little bit light on damage, so ideally they would pick it would really be good for them if they picked some kind of jungler that could really put on pressure. But they definitely do have some damage with the Ashe, so it's not. Oh, interesting. It appears that maybe UNC and Tufts both knew something that I didn't. Um, because I assume that's going to be Scion Jungle. I'm not entirely sure where everything is going to be going from the side of Tufts. Um, but it does appear that Scion Jungle seems to be the most likely outcome with Camille top. Alawi is definitely an interesting pick. Definitely will provide some of that AD damage that UNC is looking for. I almost would have preferred a full tank here, because Tufts is like actually entirely AD. Um, Alawi can definitely build some armor, but outside of Galio, Tufts is exclusively building AD unless the Galio decides to build like AP Rocket Belt sort of thing, um, which could definitely work, but does lose some of that value of playing Galio into a heavy mage comp. We'll see what each team can really end up doing here. I do think that there is going to be some impetus on UNC to find early advantages because the Alawi is going to while Alawi is going to have some side lane pressure, is definitely going to become less and less useful as long as Tufts doesn't run into her. And I think that with the infinite scaling of the Scion and the damage potential of the Camille, I think Tufts does have a pretty good outlook in terms of scaling. So we'll see what UNC can really achieve in this early game. I do actually expect maybe that there's going to be an invade, especially given that they have Braum, but um, they don't have too many good ways to set it up. But yeah, that's picks and bans, and we are going to take a quick break as we wait to get into game. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to Game 1 of Tufts versus UNC as we load into game. So we do see the Scion headed into the jungle. Something to note is that both the top jungle of Tufts don't have a flash, and neither do the top jungle of UNC. So we are seeing 3 ghosts and an ignite top lane, which is definitely something to keep an eye out for. And as we can see the pings in the chat, we do have cleanse on Jhin, so that's going to be pretty good against the Galio taunt, and Ash Arrow. I think the Ash Arrow is going to be the big one. I think Ash is primarily going to be looking for arrows onto the Hui, I think, because Hui ends up being so immobile and is really, really brutalized by that stun. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah. Camille early clearing out those tentacles to try and make that laning phase a bit easier, but playing a melee matchup into Alawi is always going to be a bit difficult. Managing to clear out all 3 of those tentacles is pretty big, and is able to win out the trade with the precision protocol and bone plating. Especially with the adaptive shield from the Camille passive. We do unfortunately see the true damage from the precision protocol used on the Alawi tentacle, but so far it seems to be working okay in the favor. And as they level to level 2, going in for the all-in, gets the ignite, gets the ghost out of the Alawi, drops them down incredibly low, but doesn't actually manage to pick up the kill. And we see in mid lane Galio having a little bit of trouble taking that tower shot as they go in for an aggressive looking trade. You also see a relatively strange from shield. That's going to be down for another 20 or so seconds. And we can see this ginormous wave crashing into the Alawi. Is just barely able to get the first blood, wins the trade fast enough that they're able to kill the Alawi before the Lily arrives, and picks up the double kill. I think the Lily really should have backed off after the Alawi goes down, and now the Braum forced to flash out, shield is down, Ash is able to walk up very, very aggressively after the Winter's Bite lands, is forced to back off just so slightly, but big advantages from the side of Tufts in this early game. About a 1,000 gold advantage already, only 3 minutes into the game. I think the one lane that we do see struggling a little bit is this Galio into Hui matchup. I think you really would expect Galio to be ahead into this kind of mage, but taking that tower shot under tower, that really, really questionable trade, will definitely hurt them a lot. But I think after a first back, flashing forward in actually gets the taunt, Scion ghosting forward as well, gets the assist as well, so that's going to be a kill right off the bat. Summoner's invested, but kill picked up for the Galio. That's pretty big, I think, to get this Galio back in, allowing not quite able to land that soul, soul steal from the Alawi E, and taking another bad trade from this Grasp Camille. So far the trading in top lane has looked really, really good. A bit less good on the farming department, but still definitely big advantages for the side of Tufts here, as we see Camille miss the cannon. Camille so far doing an excellent job of dodging those Alawi's, not allowing them to get that soul stolen, and responding with pretty nice trades as well. Yeah, Galio, once they have that Bomby Cinder, is able to push out that mid wave a lot better, is able to contest against the play, and so far, once again, I mean, just really beautiful sidesteps on the Camille, on the Alawi E so far. And then meanwhile in the bot lane, they've built up a pretty sizable 10 CS advantage, which is definitely going to go down after this wave crashes, but still going to be a pretty relevant advantage for them, and able to apply a lot of lane pressure with the tongue with the tongue lash. Ooh, that's actually going to be a stun onto the top Kench. Ooh, going in on it. Ashe not quite on the same page, was still hitting the ward when Tom Kench went in. But overall, he get a pretty good trade. Does use the Ignite, but Braum is at a fraction of HP now. Alawi ulti invested in that in the response to the tower dive is going to be pretty big, and especially because Alawi's also out of mana. This is definitely an all-in opportunity, especially since Camille still has that has the Hextech ultimatum. It does end up landing on Tahm Kench, but Tahm Kench is very, very safe. It's going to heal up off of that gray health as well, so is not going to be too scared about that at all. And we do see in the top lane, actually, both top laners going to back as the wave crashes in the center.
Retribution is at hand.
But I think after a little bit of early action, we're reaching something of a low state. I think UNC is playing a lot safer now, isn't quite able to step up nearly as far as they were able to before. And you can see that manifesting in the mid lane CS lead catching up, and the spot lane building a pretty comfortable CS lead of their own. Ooh, Tahm Kench blocking the Jhin from collecting the cannon with the Deadly Flourish, and now is able to go in. Braum just straight up goes down to the Tahm Kench, who is going to be able to pick up a little bit of extra tankiness on their next back. Ashe Arrow comes out, hit 6 immediately, forces out the cleanse. That Ashe Arrow's cooldown is going to have definitely a lot lower of a cooldown than the cleanse from Jhin. And flashing forward actually gets the slow, flashes from the Ashe to get the W, to pick up the kill from the onto the Jhin. A lot of summoners invested, but a huge advantage coming out in favor of the Tufts bottom lane. Ooh. Finally lands the Alawi E, pops the ulti as well just to get a bit of damage on. Isn't able to do too much, I think, especially since Camille has gone quite a few grasp stocks. Comes back with the Ruby Crystal and is able to survive that pretty comfortably. I think, especially as laning phase continues, it's going to be more trading. I think without the minions, it's a lot harder for Camille to avoid those Alawi E's, and it's going to take a big chunk of their health bar for it. Does manage to time out the cooldown. Ghost pops in order to dodge the hook shot, and is able to get away. But Alawi's out of mana now. Camille goes forward, uses the Hextech ultimatum, pops Ignite as well, and is able to just pick up the kill. I think really well spotted on the Alawi mana bar. Just didn't have enough mana to do anything about what Camille wanted to do. So far, I mean, very, very dominating from the side of Tufts. First dragon goes over, traded over for the 3 Void Grubs, so relatively even or acceptable trade, generally speaking. But we will see Tufts probably trying to look towards those next grubs in order to get the Void Might spawns on these towers. Yeah, I think now that Camille is 3-0, it's so hard for Alawi to play this lane. Camille can just stack up her Q on the minions, hook shot in, and I mean, Alawi will just lose that trade no matter what, with that true damage from the Camille Precision Protocol. Yeah, and I think here we do also see, Camille has to use the hookshot to dodge away from the gank top lane, but here comes Sion, unstoppably onslaughting in, lands the Q as Galio also starts arriving, and now this Alawi is in quite a bit of trouble. Camille is going to pick up the kill, and here we also see some of that anti-synergy between the Jhin and the Braum, because the Tahm Kench ended up with 3 stacks of the Braum passive, not quite enough to get the stun. Now Tahm Kench goes in, manages to get both in the knockup, but Ashe was zoned out with a Deadly Flourish in the Winter Spite, so isn't quite able to follow up on that CC. But so far, good trading from the side of Tufts. Galio E-flashing forward, forces the flash out from Hui, ends up using the Spiraling Despair as well, which doesn't actually accomplish much. So, I mean, I think Tufts' mid lane will be happy with that, and I think Tufts in general will be really happy with the state of the game right now. Looking towards a 4,000 gold lead, they're going to be sitting very, very comfortably, and 7-0 in the kill score, right? Like, honestly, not much else that Tufts could want. And in the meanwhile, we did actually see those 6 Void Grubs going down, so Tufts is going to have those in order to apply even more turret pressure with these really dominant lanes that we've already been seeing. We do see a pretty nice sidestep on the hookshot, but that damage with the Trinity Force is just so insane. Like, a single Camille Q at this point is doing about a third or a quarter of the Alawi's health bar, and it's just so hard for her to play the game. And now we do see the Void Mites coming out. Camille grabs her first plate, and I mean, Tufts is just so much stronger right now, right? Like, this Galio and Sion are just able to bully this Lilia. Both members of UNC's mid-jungle are able to make it out, but we kind of get a glimpse of how dominant this Tufts team has looked so far in this game, as we do also see a bit of a negative trade for Tufts in the top lane, but it's also Alawi ulti invested. So, I mean, I don't think this Camille is going to be too scared of most things, but Alawi's ghosting in. Camille does have that adaptive shield, but might end up getting run down, does not actually end up dying, survives on just a sliver of health, looks like single digits there. Really unfortunate for UNC, and, well played from the side of Tufts. Is able to survive, doesn't end up getting caught by the bowling ball, and is able to back and grab that Vampiric Scepter. So Tufts keeping their unkilled record so far. As first items start to come in, we see Tahm Kench looks like building towards that Heartsteel, almost got it as the support. So definitely pretty far ahead of this Braum. A little bit more anti-synergy from the side of Tufts. The Tahm Kench ulti just saves the Braum, does end up still going down, but just a little bit of miscoordination from the side of Tufts so far. On that note, I think something really interesting that we do actually see here is the static shiv coming out from Jhin. That item was recently changed so that it's an on-hit item now. As we see a dive coming out onto that Jhin. Managed to pick up the kill. Tahm Kench flashing out to safety. As the bot lane of Tufts does end up getting collapsed on now. Forcing out the flash, but the Spiraling Despair is dodged, and the Hui does not manage to pick up anything, trading away their life in the process. Tufts still without a single death so far, but as I was saying, the static shiv was recently changed so that it applies its damage on hit, so definitely a lot harder for a character like Jhin to utilize, because it takes so much longer for them to get out those 3 autos. And I do wonder if this maybe is just an outdated build from the side of UNC. Rift Tower goes down, cracks that mid-lane tower. Tufts continuing to build up these advantages. The gold lead now 7,000 in their advantage. We are seeing the Alawi do a little bit better with these trades now, but that true damage precision protocol still doing an inordinate amount of damage. The Alawi ulti used, but not with a clone out, as the Ash Arrow falls onto the does end up landing onto Braum, as Tufts managed to pick that kill up as well. Camille slept under the tower. We'll see if they, and that is going to be Tufts' first death going over. But actually traded over 1-for-1 even in the 1v2. So I mean, even when they're falling behind, Tufts is able to find things towards their advantage. We do see trade to towers across either side of the map. Alawi able to pick up Tufts' top lane tower, whereas Galio grabs the bot lane tier 1, and Tufts pushes towards that bot lane tier 2 as well. So, I mean, Tufts just finding advantages across the map. And we do see Tufts with their first items. Heartsteel completed from that Tom Kench. 4-0 and 3 now, $250 bounty. So that Tom Kench is very, very strong. Support item completed, has that Zazek's Realm Spike, combined with that Comet is going to do quite a bit of poking, and is also going to be able to farm a lot of HP with the Heartsteel. Deadly Flourish does land, but isn't able to get any follow-up, as we see UNC kind of grouping around this mid lane. But the Hui gets caught in transit, and this Galio does a lot of damage now. That Q flashing forward, but flashing away from the Hui, and is not able to quite pick up the kill. But Camille's teleporting in, and, well, there's nothing that Jin can do, even if the Enchanted Crystal Arrow does not quite land. Tufts are able to just pick up kill after kill. Braum is the sacrificial Felurian, as the Galio comes in, clears out that wave, and this Lilia is looking in a spot of trouble here, but Tufts does not end up actually having the wave to capitalize. As Sion pushes in that mid lane tier inhibitor tower. So, I mean, really, Tufts is kind of free to has completely free reign over this game now. None of the shots on the curtain call end up connecting, and Tufts just taking all of that standing gold across the map. We do actually see the Lilting Lullaby come out. Camille's able to dodge the reactivation of it, the wake up, using that hook shot, but in that 1v4 they are not going to end up surviving. Second kill donated over to the side of UNC, but they're going to need a lot more than that if they want to come back into this game. It is a pretty important pick for UNC though, because this Hextech Drake is going to be spawning in 5 seconds, and Tufts doesn't have their Camille. And even when Camille does respawn, she's not going to have the teleport to make it into this fight early, so it's going to be a 5v4 in favor of UNC right now. But given how strong Tufts is, and the resources that were invested into killing the Camille, I'm not actually sure if if UNC is going to be able to win this even outnumbered. I would hope to see Tufts contest this at least a little bit. I definitely don't love the coin flip, and UNC does lose it. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands. Camille's coming back into this fight now, and I think she's not even needed, because, like, Tufts is just able to win this, and this is without Galio. As I say that, UNC does manage to pick up some of the kills, but so far it's a 2-for-2, while Galio just pushes in this mid lane inhibitor. A bit of a split decision from Tufts, as Galio just continues to push in onto the base. It looks like the call from Tufts is just to stop the recalls, as Galio just tries to end the game, maybe. There's not a lot that UNC can do about this. The Jhin gets dropped very, very low, the Precision Protocol doing so much damage. and they just don't do damage to these Tufts members. Galio ulting back is just to grab the kill. Scion passive isn't quite able to pick up the kill onto the Alawi. Definitely the tankiest member of UNC by far. Galio's staying on this for the fight, but UNC reinforcements aren't going to come back up in time. You do see the Camille continuing to push on forwards, but the Lilting Lullaby will come up again shortly. Ooh, a very, very good devastating bolt. Just not quite able to pick up the kill. The tactical sweep able to get a little bit of healing, and with that shield, Camille is able to survive just a little bit longer, but it's not going to be enough for her to survive. Well played from both sides, as this very, very extended fight ends up going more or less in favor of Tufts, with a couple of kills being traded over on the opposite side.
Retribution is at hand.
The Tufts are now actually going to start up the Baron. I think maybe either hoping to just sneak it away under UNC's under the nose of UNC, or hoping to bring them into a fight. I think that's really what Tufts is looking for right now, because if they're able to get a clean, solid fight win, they might just be able to end the game. Oh, look at the Camille TP flanking. Back onto this Jhin. The Jhin is just dead, unable to do anything, trapped in the Hextech Ultimatum, as the rest of Tufts just pushes forward onto UNC. That Alawi is going completely crazy though. Tentacles going dealing so much damage, but not quite able to pick up the kill. Flashing forward from the Tom Kent for the Tom Lash, and picking up just the last remnants of UNC as they push onto the base. Only one going down from the side of Tufts, as a really, really dominant victory from Tufts over UNC. 25-7 the kill score in a 22-minute clean, quick, decisive victory. We'll see what UNC ends up changing up for Game 2, but that's really where they're going to have to look for now.
A summoner has disconnected.
1-0 Tufts, and we'll head into a break before the next game. Alright everyone, welcome to game 2 of Tufts versus UNC, and we didn't quite make the draft, but we do have both teams in front of us now. It's going to be Gangplank, Gwen, Zed, Jinx, Melio for the side of UNC, and Alawi, Lilia, Echo, Ash, Braum from the side of Tufts. We do see actually kind of the team swapping. We see Lilia, Alawi, and Braum being played by Tufts this time, and I do think the Ash Braum is definitely a lot better than Jin Braum. I do like both bot lanes a lot more this game than I did last game. Jinx Melio is a very, very good combo because Melio is able to give Jinx that extra range. And then Ash Braum are very, very good at picking up those early kills with the Braum slow, stacking with the Ash slow, and just has such good stickiness and ability to stay on top of people. In the mid lane, we have Zed versus Echo. This is a matchup that I think definitely seems to favor Echo, since Echo ulti allows Echo to kind of undo basically anything that Zed can do to him. So I think Echo definitely has the advantage there. And then Alawi versus Gangplank is really interesting because I think Alawi definitely does better against melee champions, and Gangplank has that Q that allows them to stay at a bit of a further range. But yeah, overall, I think Tufts' team is pretty solid. I do really like the Ash Braum, especially given with how aggressively they were able to play last game. If they're able to find those same kinds of early advantages and grab a couple of early kills, I think that'll really set them up well for the rest of this game. And it's going to be on UNC to do something different, to make a change, um, and um, change things up in the second game. So, yeah, that's gonna be the draft, and I will see you all when we get into game. Alright, welcome everyone to Game 2 of Tufts versus UNC as we head out onto Summoner's Rift. I think Summoner choices or Summoner spell choices are definitely a little bit more standard. We do see the cleanse on the Jinx once again. I definitely like it a lot less this game. I think there's a lot. The CC that she has to cleanse is a bit more spotty. She definitely shouldn't be getting stuck in Echo E or Echo W. So it kind of ends up just being for the bot lane and for Lilia, and then everyone has flash except for Gwen, who ends up picking up the ghost. But overall, relatively standard rune choices, summoner spell choices, and we'll really just have to be looking towards what ends up happening in this early game. We do see Tufts sitting in this bush here, maybe looking for a bit of a cheese winter's bite. It doesn't land. Jenks not quite walking up far enough for that, so they are just going to end up starting the level normally. But aside from that, relatively normal trading. Gangplank starting that E so that they can reset their passive. But Allow is able to clear that with the empowered auto from W actually. Yeah, I mean, Tufts hits level 2 first here, but both teams end up getting it. But with that really aggressive Ashe Braum combo, Ashe is able to follow up on the Braum Q, forces out the melee flash. So pretty well played from Tufts. They do have to use their exhaust, but overall, more or less exactly what you want to see. Ooh, a bit of trading in the mid lane. A really nice trade from Echo, able to get a good chunk onto Zed, but it's just damage, and Zed's able to trade most of that health back. So far, not too much action happening in this early game. So for the Melio being a real magnet for those Winter's Bites. As we actually see, Alawi being able to push in that lane early means that she's able to put a ward into Gwen's blue side, is able to slow down that clear a bit, and we also did see a little bit of trading. Echo burning the flash early. Follow-up trade does end up forcing Zed's flash, so both flashes down in that mid lane, so that's going to be a point of contention for the junglers for sure. But aside from that, no other action so far. Farm is all relatively even outside of the mid lane, which has a incredibly decisive lead in favor of Echo, who doesn't actually back. So Zed is forced to use the TP, whereas Echo gets to save theirs. Alawi doesn't quite land, but the trading is still going very strongly in favor of them. And with that empowered W is just able to really win those trades, even though Gangplank should be able to poke out a little bit more with that Q. But just Alawi being able to clear out those barrels so fast with the auto resets from auto W, making a really big difference in this lane so far. Yeah, I mean, Zed is really struggling in this lane early, so and it doesn't look like it's going to get much better for them either. So especially with that Darksteel picked up for Echo, that's definitely a confidence purchase. Finally, that Alawi E lands, and should just be able to get a little bit of extra damage. But actually, it's a Gangplank that ends up coming out on top a little bit. But Alawi should be able to just TP back, and any damage they do now is just lowering that health bar for when they manage to get back. I don't know if GP wants to take this. Once that clone goes down, they're going to be besieged by tentacles. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure why Gangplank chose to fight that. And that flash as well is just not going to get them anywhere. Gwen does come, but it's not nearly in time. Gwen is immune to the Alawi E, but it's not enough to get the kill back, and Alawi still has TP to get back to lane. So all GP did was slow her down a little bit and give her $300. And because because Gwen showed top lane trying to salvage the play, it means that Lilia is able to grab that first dragon with no contest, and should even maybe be able to start walking up towards those grubs. And so we're not even going to see that trade that we so often do of dragon for grubs. Ooh, nice Alawi E. Does manage to get the damage down onto the Gwen. That W isn't popped quite in time, and it's not going to do anything against the damage coming through from that Alawi E. Test of Spirit, I believe. But yeah, so far looking very good for them. Another good tentacle landing, and now Gangplank is going to take a good chunk of poke from having to constantly dodge these tentacles, which they're not quite managing to do. Yeah, I mean, Lilia spotted clearing this crab, but I don't think Gwen can do much about it, especially with that health bar. Ooh, Alawi diving the tower, Test of Spirit goes through, and it's just going to be a kill under the tower onto that Gangplank. So, really well played from the Tufts top laner as they pick up their second kill. So far, really having a dominant showing in this in this series even. Able to make such a dominant performance in that first game on the Camille, and now doing the same on the Alawi against this Gangplank. I think things are looking definitely a lot more even in the other two lanes. The mid lane CS discrepancy has closed down a little bit, and bot lane is looking remarkably even. I think Jinx does manage to grab back so that they are no longer just sitting on a Cull. Grabs a BF sword, that's going to be a pretty big buy. But so far, Tufts still in the driver's seat here, 1,000 gold up, and especially this top lane just looking so dominant for the Alawi. Ooh, a bit of a mistiming there from the Gangplank. Misses the Q timing and just hands over Alawi $10. Not what you want to be seeing from your top laner in a game like this. Ooh, a nice trade from Zed so far, but with the 3 hits from the Echo, there's not much that Zed can do to really bring that back. And, I mean, it's a very difficult lane to be sure. And now Tufts is really able to push in this wave. Test of Spirit doing quite a bit of work. Doesn't quite get the kill onto the Spirit, but I mean, it's still half of Gangplank's health, so definitely not what you want to be seeing if you're the UNC top laner. Demolish Pot going off is going to be able to give Alawi the second play. Test of Spirit doesn't land. And actually the Flame Chompers do manage to root down that Braum, but it's not going to end up doing much of any damage. Ooh, the Test of Spirit doesn't quite land, so it's going to be a Alawi ult on one target, and Gangplank's just able to walk away from that. But the barrel doesn't land, and now Lilia's here, so it's going to be Gangplank going down for the 3rd time this game. Also down 40 CS. It's being doubled, and really good targeting from the side of Tufts. Although maybe it's not quite going to matter. Ashe managed to flash out, and Jinx has ulti here, so it's going to be a matter of whether or not they're able to sidestep the ulti or whether or not they're able to connect it. And it does look like it's not going to be able to pick up the kill. They are backing, and Jinx should be able to ult if they want to try and... Not actually going to cast it. So no kills over to UNC. Really, really well played from Tufts on the targeting. Ashe ulting the Nilio means that he can't cleanse it, and since Jinx is the one with cleanse this game, wow, a very, very aggressive play. Very aggressive use of the ulti as well. Does not pay off. a little bit ambitious from Echo, ulting back into the 1v3 isn't going to pick up the kill. Definitely a little bit of an ambitious play here. Jinx ulti fired out onto the Grubs. Tries to steal one maybe. I can't really tell if it managed to grab one or not. But it doesn't quite look like it. That's going to be 4 Grubs for Tufts, and so they're going to get Void Mites once again. So, despite the little fumble from the Echo, definitely still in the driver's seat. With another good test of Spirit landing. Yeah, that's looking really bad. And now Lilia's here as well. Gangplank takes a nap and is just going to get killed. Despite the fact that he has the oranges, isn't able to pop them fast enough to do anything. So it's just going to be another death for the Gangplank as Alawi starts to chip away at this top tower. Oh, Zed blast putting into the face of a lot of damage going over onto the Alawi. Just barely not able to grab a return kill onto the Gwen. The 2-man Alawi ulti doing quite a bit of work, but not quite enough to survive there. And Alawi doesn't end up grabbing the tower either. So another fumble. Tufts getting a little bit overeager. Definitely confident after that first game, and it's coming back to bite them a little bit, but they're still definitely in a very commanding position. We can see the spot lane once again playing up very, very aggressively. But so far, it's just 1 or 2 picks onto the Tufts members, whereas Tufts is getting these systematic advantages. 2,000 gold now in the lead for Tufts. So right now, just more trading back and forth. Alawi does manage to grab that top tower. I do believe that was all 5 plates as well. I mean, Alawi now has a flat cleaver to the Sheen and Phage and 2 longswords from GP. Definitely not what you want to see as a top laner. GP's also 2 levels down, is really going to struggle getting to that level 13 breakpoint for the barrel decay speed, and is just really not going to do that much damage. Once again, Alawi walking underneath the tower, and is just able to kill the Gangplank using the Tested Spirit clone crate that was created. And it's another solo kill onto this Gangplank underneath the tower, and they're just really not having a good time right now. But Zed is able to avenge them actually, does manage to grab the kill in return. A bit more trading back and forth. Braum does end up going down, but Ashe does have quite a bit of damage, not enough to finish anything though. Echo's here to try and do something. TP comes in, and Echo is forced to ulti out. So 5 members in the bot lane from the side of UNC, but they do manage to grab a kill and get out unscathed. So definitely doing a lot better in this second game in terms of playmaking. And we do also see this Zed pick does seem to be working out so far. As I say that though, Emilio recalling on a ward and Echo's able to just finish them off. So a bit of a blunder on this back end of the play. Tufts now making a bit of a foray into the enemy jungle, grabs away that Raptors, puts down some deeper vision, and now flashing forward for the Q onto the Jinx. Doesn't have that cleanse anymore, and so the Lily is just able to pick up the kill. Definitely very, very strong now. Has that Leandries, has the Sork shoes, and is in a pretty good spot to really take this game away. I think we're definitely going to just be looking towards the top side of the map for right now, at least. Oh, and now Gangplank doesn't have anywhere to run. There's no top tower, so Gangplank's in a really, really dubious spot. Pops the 3-hit passive on the Echo, and Echo can just heal up off of that ulti. So Gangplank just goes down once again. Echo grabbing the shielding from the stun, doesn't quite manage to get the stun off of it because of Gwen being immune, and does end up going down in the process. But on the bot side, the Tufts is able to find a pick onto the Zed, so they're going to be able to trade towers 1-for-1. And honestly, a pretty good play for UNC because they're able to get pressure onto this mid tower. They're able to get a kill in return, despite the good play from the side of Tufts. And although Tufts goes up 2-1 in terms of kills, UNC goes 2-1 in terms of towers. As long as they're able to send someone to answer this Alawi, which I think they should be able to. I mean, I think it's really going to be all eyes on this Gwen, right? 4-0, 2 items now completed. Nashor's and the Rabadon's complete. Notably no Riftmaker, so is going to be missing out on a little bit of that healing. But wow, the Alawi just flashes forward, grabs the kill onto the Melial, and even though they do end up going down, it's a 1-for-1, whereas Tufts is able to kind of keep going across the map. But the Zed trying to aggress onto the Ashe, and is stopped by the Drowsy, just ends up getting picked off. Ashe does survive that with a barrier, and just really well played. Zed flashes forward, and Ashe survives long enough for Lilia to save the play. I mean, I think this is definitely a closer game than UNC had last game, but definitely not looking good either as GP sacrifices their life for the tower. I think they might have actually ended up going down before the tower died, so I think that means they miss out on the tower gold, local tower gold, but I'm not sure. Echo going forward once again, isn't quite able to find anything. The stun does land from the Ashe onto the Melio. Once again, just really good target selection, constantly trying to send these Ashe arrows onto the Melio, because he's the only member who can't be cleansed. As we do see a bit of fighting down on this bot side. Zed ulti goes out, but it really doesn't do any damage. And now that Alawi has this Sundered Skies, it's going to be healing so much, just one-shots the Gwen, and they continue to go forward, not quite able to get anything so far, does land the Chest of Spirit, but does not end up getting the second kill. It's a 1-for-1 though in a 3v1, as Tufts is just able to use that to take the Baron. So far, Alawi just winning all of these outnumbered fights, and Tufts is able to use that tempo advantage to make plays around the map. So, well played from the Alawi, well played from Tufts. Yeah, and grabbing that Spirit Visage as well is going to be really big into that Gwen. Although they do a lot of true damage, they are still going to deal quite a bit of magic damage, and having that empowered healing from those Alawi tentacles is going to be really, really massive. Tufts now pushing forward onto in the mid lane. Going to siege with this Baron buff. Something that I did notice also is that this Jinx has built a Runon's Hurricane first item, which is definitely a little bit dubious. I think having the wave clear is definitely appealing, but given that Jinx is realistically at this point the main sustained damage AD damage, since Gangplank's not really in the game anymore, they really just need some damage. And I think Runon's is not really providing that. I think the IE is definitely going to be really important here, but we'll see if that's going to be a difference maker in these upcoming fights. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for anyone to answer this Alawi. If they send members, Tufts is just able to continue to do stuff around the map, but no one else can deal with the Alawi at all. So Tufts just has this permanent lane of pressure coming from this 3 item of Alawi that's just able to win any outnumbered fight. Jinx ulti sent out, tries to see if they can get a steal, does not quite manage to get it. But Tufts still very commanding position right now. Soul point now picked up for them, and yeah, they can just push forward into this mid lane. Grabs the inner tower, Test of Spirit lands onto the Melio. That's going to be a good chunk of damage once again. Echo going in, gets a small bit of damage, but really not much before he's forced to ult out. I think so far I've not really been that impressed with this Echo. He's been going in very, very aggressively, but so far not really managing to pick up too much of anything. Gangplank found in the jungle. Lily is also here, forced to flash away. Definitely not what you want to see. Not even able to walk into their own jungle now, especially now that there's so much red side vision. Another good Test of Spirit landing. The Alawis have kind of been on point so far this game, so definitely a good sign. Yeah, I think Tufts is really just going to be waiting for that next Mountain Dragon to try and pick up the Soul. I think if they can get Mountain Soul, they really can't lose this game anymore. They're already in such a strong position that, I mean, it's really hard for UNC to do much of anything. Definitely the gold lead isn't nearly as big as it was in the previous game. Only 3,500 gold now, but it's definitely not looking good for UNC so far. Pushing forward aggressively, and Alawi continuing to do her thing. Split pushing in this bottom lane, just constantly applying that pressure. Looks like Tufts are looking for maybe some kind of cheese, but it doesn't seem like UNC are particularly interested, so it is just going to be a recall from the Lilia. So far, just a little bit of a low state. Not too much happening in terms of action, but I think Tufts is okay with that. Definitely, they are on a bit of a timer. The Jinx and Gwen are definitely always going to be scary, especially as they get later and later into this game. But I think Tufts is happy to just try and play for this Dragon Soul. And continue to just carry out their game plan. I do like the the option of sending Zed against this Lowy. Zed's able to clear the wave definitely a lot easier than Gangplank does, and is able to just use the Shadow Clone to hop out of any Lowy E's that he gets hit by. So definitely helpful, but now that he's forced back, Alawi's able to push up towards that inhibitor tower once again. And I mean, it's just so much pressure. 2 members down on the spot side, Gangplank and Zed trying to answer the Alawi. And if they send members now, Tufts can just go back onto that Baron, and there's nothing that UNC can do. Alawi going back in, gets the 2-man ulti, forces out the ability, and then... Wow! The Asura sets up so beautifully for the flash Q from the Lilia, and now Gwen's 1v4. I don't know that this is really what you want to be seeing. Gwen goes in 1v4 and just dies. Like, there's no follow-up from the rest of the team. Gwen goes in on just a fraction of health, does end up dying, but it's just 1 member left for UNC, and that might just be the game. I'm really not sure why Gwen really felt the need to go in there. It was a 1v4, and I mean, she's not that strong. Even though Gwen is immune, she's not immune to, you know, things that happen inside the circle, or things that happen when the circle is down. Zed going in, and Zed's just going to end up going down. Does manage to grab the Echo once again, as the bot lane of UNC has respawned, but both Nexus towers now down for UNC, and they do manage to secure the base. The health bars of Tufts not looking good, so they're not quite able to end the game, but definitely still a very, very deep push, and not a good time for UNC here. UNC are going to start up this dragon, and I think they are just going to be able to get it. Yeah, Tufts isn't really there to contest. Jinx is a little bit scared by what happened last time, where the arrow landed from what seemed like far away, and it didn't look like there was any follow-up until Lilia just flash Qs in, so does burn the cleanse there. Especially once you get into this late game, the Ashe ulti's already a third off of cooldown after, like, right after being used, so I mean, they're definitely going to be happy with burning that cleanse there. I'll seem to start this Baron, and I really don't think there's anything that UNC can do to contest. The Jinx ulti comes in way too early, and they are just going to grab that first kill. Gwen face checks the Alawi and just gets completely annihilated by that Alawi ulti. The Tesla Spirit goes in, this Echo just one-shots the Jinx, and that's definitely going to be the game. Gangplank takes a nap and gets sent right back to the Death Chamber. Zed is now 1v5, has the help of Melio, but that's not going to be nearly enough. Melio is slowed down now as Tufts manages to pick up every last member of UNC, it looks like. Grabs Emilio, flashing forward for that last kill as they pick up game 2.
Are you here?
Yes.
Okay. We'll try getting an interview going, so just stay tuned, everybody. Let's see if we can get Coach here for an interview. Give me a sec. I almost accidentally switched the wrong call. Yeah, but that's game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's just see if we can get Coach here. By the way, I'm production. I'm John Cheeto, if anybody's wondering. A huge win today by the League B team, and with that, actually, Tufts Gaming Hub, the main channel, had the Valorant game happening for Y Team. Both teams are in through to the Open Plus semifinal in their respective divisions in both games. which is very exciting because that means we have now 4 out of the 5 teams on the semifinal round. If anybody's wondering, um, Valor and Gray gets an immediate bye to semifinals for ending top seed, and Rainbow Six also gets a bye straight into a semifinal for finishing second place in their division. And then the last team that we're missing is Overwatch Blue Team, who should be playing tomorrow. We're still pending a schedule approval and some other details to be finalized. But if we're all good, that game should be streamed tomorrow. As I am still waiting to see if we could get a coach interview going. However, coach is not responding. And I don't want to keep everybody here for a very long time. So I feel like we might just should close it here. Should we give them like another minute? Okay, I'm asking somebody else. Just give me 1 second, everybody. I'm trying to get this interview. Unless they don't want to, then maybe we should just end it. Hey, sure, there you go. Okay, so we are getting coach interviewed.
Amazing.
However, I'm not going to be asking the questions because I don't have any league knowledge. Yeah, so if you're interested on seeing our Tufts Bees run through the playoffs, stay tuned because we should be here next week for the semifinal game, which will be against TCNJ, if I am not mistaken. I should be pretty correct because the team who Tufts is facing in the semifinals has also gotten a straight bye from the quarterfinals and immediate qualification to the semifinals. Yeah, so TCNJ, which is hello, the College of New Jersey. Okay, and here's Coach Asura. I'll leave the floor to Rose to go ahead and ask the questions.
Hi. So yeah, I mean, congrats on the win. How's it been so far this year, with the B team? Like, just in terms of getting this group together, they're all relatively new to playing with each other. So, how's that been so far?
It's always a little bit of a challenge, when you get people from different backgrounds. Some of them have played competitive, touched competitive at all. And I think that was the case with Wilson. But overall, I think our team has been, really developing that cohesion that I'd expect out of a Tufts League of Legends team, and very, very quickly at that. I think that has something to do with the fact that this is probably the highest ranked B team I've ever seen. When I entered Tufts, I think our B team was plat average, and we had like a gold player on it. Now we're like pretty much all sort of emerald, low diamond players, which is kind of amazing. Um, but yeah, I think the person that I was kind of most worried about being able to settle into a competitive environment was definitely Wilson, because he was primarily a solo queue player. But I think we've managed to sort of come to an understanding on the things that are expected of him as a player in competitive. We've been dialing back the solo queue instincts a bit. And as you can see, man, this guy's a gapper. right? You put him in lane, he just starts sweeping people. And so I didn't really need to coach that at all. It was mainly, just the more macro specific things, as in, like, you need to back up here so that your team can apply pressure on the other side of the map, because obviously this kind of stuff isn't things that happen in solo queue. But other than Wilson, I've actually worked with a lot of these people before. Bridget, Derek. Derek was my support in A team when I was still at Tufts. Xavier, I'd coached before. Nick, I'd coached before. So it was kind of like stepping back into a pair of old shoes, with the exception of maybe like some new laces. I think that would be Wilson there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely got to see how dominant that he could be in the top lane. And I think we could also see some of that impact that the macro has been having, because we would see like 4 members going down bot to kill the Alawi, and then Tufts just gets Baron on the other side. So yeah, I think we definitely saw everyone look really good today. And we can definitely see a lot of that cohesion, especially around those Ash arrows and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that was really well said. But yeah, how do you feel about the future games? You guys have looked really good today. And you guys, I think, have a good shot of making it pretty far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think we do have a pretty good shot at taking away the entire thing. The one group that I'm kind of worried about is UFV Cascades. They were the first ranked in our group. We did, by the way. We were the only team to take a game off of them, and I wasn't even there. I was in London. I was flying back. I was like, guys, we're guaranteed playoffs, so get in there, treat it like a scrim, play some things you want to play, and get back to me. And I was surprised to see that we took them to a game 3, and I think definitely we can, wallop them, if we meet them again during playoffs. And it looks quite likely because they basically beat every other team quite handily. In terms of the other teams, we've pretty much beat every other team except for, I don't remember their exact names, but there was one team we
The
lost to,
College
but I
of New
think
Jersey, I'm pretty sure.
right, that's the one.
TCNJ, which is your
Yeah,
semifinal
PCNG.
matchup.
Yeah. So I guess that's going to be our next challenge. I definitely think we were hitting our stride. And we just kind of hit a rough spot because that game was played when everyone was getting midterms, right? So
Ooh.
all of my players like hadn't touched League in a couple of days, and I think that really showed in the gameplay. But I mean, from what you've seen today, right? If we play like this into them, I honestly, no shade to TCNJ. I'm sure they're wonderful people and they're pretty good at the game, but we're better. I think we are better. So look forward for that during the semifinals.
Absolutely. Good luck with the rest of your run, and congrats on the win.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the awesome stream production staff. Mika couldn't make it today, but thank you to Mika. Thank you to John. Thank you for filling in. And Rose, thanks for hopping in to cast.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys.
And we should close it here. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We should be back with Overwatch on the main channel tomorrow around 7:30 or 8:30 if everything goes well for another Playfly playoff game. And after that, we'll be back next week for Valorant White, Valorant Gray, and League B, and hopefully as well Overwatch Blue as we see all the teams playing. Oh, and R6. Let me not forget R6 as we see all the teams starting their semifinal runs. With that being said, we hope you enjoyed your stay here. We hope you enjoyed the game and have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.